This industry looks solid from the outside, but we found a hole in their pockets the size of a crater. Welcome to the 2026 MedTech war. While everyone is looking at the shiny hardware, the real money is moving into places you can't even see. I'm talking about a realignment so big it's making the old giants stumble and the nimble ones sprint. If you thought the big three were just doing business as usual, think again. The game has changed from who has the biggest machine to who has the smartest brain. We're seeing GEHC move with the speed of a startup, Siemens building a fortress around cancer care, and the digital world finally swallowing the physical one. Let's talk about the top line, or, as I like to call it, the bragging rights. Siemens is still the heavyweight champion here, bringing in enough cash to buy a small country. But look at GEHC. They might be smaller, but they're like a middleweight boxer who hasn't eaten in 3 days. Lean, mean, and closing the gap on how much money they actually keep in their pockets after the bills are paid. Now, let's look at the China crater. Imagine waking up and realizing a $1.2 billion check you were expecting just disappeared. That's what China's new buying rules did to these giants. If you aren't building these machines inside China, for China, you're basically trying to sell a flip phone in a 5G world. Here's a dirty little secret. The iron business is dying. The profit, or the money we actually get to take home on a standard scanner, is dropping faster than a lead balloon. Why? Because the Tier 2 guys have figured out how to make a decent scanner for half the price. It's a race to the bottom, and nobody wants to win that race. So how do you survive a price war? You stop selling the box and start selling the magic inside. We're moving from selling iron to selling intelligence. Think of it like a printer. The printer is cheap, but the ink and the software that tells you what to print? That's where the gold is buried. Let's look at GE Healthcare. Since they broke up with their parent company, they've been on a diet. They used their heartbeat system to cut out the fat, reducing inventory lag by 22%. In plain English, they stopped letting expensive parts sit in the warehouse gathering dust and started turning them into cash. Siemens did something brilliant. They bought Varian, the kings of cancer treatment. Now they don't just find the tumor, they kill it too. It's a closed loop. Once a hospital buys into this ecosystem, leaving is as hard as switching from an iPhone to, well, anything else. Then there's Philips. They've had a rough few years, mostly cleaning up the mess from their product recalls. They're like a giant that tripped over a shoelace. They're getting back up, and their bank account is recovering faster than the critics thought, but they're still limping a bit in the branding department. Innovation isn't just about spending money, it's about what you get for it. Siemens files the most patents, but GEHC is better at actually turning those ideas into things you can buy. It's the difference between having 1,000 recipes and actually opening a successful restaurant. This is the truth table. It shows where the money is coming from and where it's leaking out. The red bar is China taking a bite out of the profits. The green bar is the AI software and services trying to save the day. Right now, it's a tug of war, and AI is pulling hard. Here is the wow factor. By 2026, your doctor won't just look at an X-ray. They'll have a digital twin of your heart or lungs. They can practice the surgery on your digital ghost before they ever touch you. This isn't sci-fi. It's a $50 billion revenue machine that's starting to spin. Remember when we couldn't buy a car because of a chip shortage? MedTech learned that lesson the hard way. They've moved from just-in-time to just-in-case. They're stockpiling the brains of these machines like survivalists in a bunker, just to make sure they don't get caught empty-handed again. This is the most important chart for the bean counters. It shows how much of the profit actually ends up as cold, hard cash. GEHC is the king of real money here, converting 88% of their paper profit into actual bank deposits. That's enough extra grain in the barn to buy a lot of smaller competitors. If we grade these giants on a curve, the average score is high, but the strengths are different. Some are geniuses at tech, others are masters of keeping the lights on. But keep an eye on that geopolitical IQ. Knowing how to navigate world politics is now just as important as knowing how to build a CT scanner. It's not all sunshine. High interest rates mean hospitals are acting like a family on a budget. They're holding on to their old machines longer. Plus, new trade taxes could add a 5 to 8% extra cost to every machine shipped by next year. It's getting expensive to be a global titan. Where are we going? By 2030, the hospital might not even have a hardware room. Everything will be in the cloud. We're looking at a world where the software makes the diagnosis, and the human just double-checks the work. We're halfway through the biggest transformation in medical history. I'll leave you with this. The machine is just a Trojan horse. These companies are giving you the hardware, just so they can get their intelligence into your hospital. Once the software is in, they own the kingdom. The smartest data wins, period. Who is the safest bet when the world gets messy? Siemens has the deep roots, but GEHC has the agility. If things get rocky between the East and the West, you want to be with the company that has the highest localization index, the ones who are already at home everywhere they sell. The winner? GEHC for the cash in the pocket. Siemens for the cancer-fighting fortress. But the real warning? If a company is only selling metal and wires, and not apps and AI, they're already a ghost. They just don't know it yet. That's the deep dive for today. If you want the full 1,000-page data dump, or if you want us to look into your specific market, hit us up at HDIN Research. Don't just guess where the money is going. Follow the data. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.